All right, everybody, let's get started. Thanks for joining the QuietGuard webinar today. So my name is James. I've been with Noise Barriers for 7 years. Today we're going to do a deep dive into our security products, which Noise Barriers calls QuietGuard. So we're going to start with a basic definition of what is a SCIF. We're going to talk about the applicable specifications that our products meet, and then we're going to dive into specifically doors, then enclosures, and then what Noise Barriers calls SCIF in a box. So what is a SCIF? SCIF is a sensitive compartmented information facility. On the right-hand side, you can see a picture of one being used by the president. It's a place where sensitive information can be viewed and discussed without outside surveillance or spying. So you can see on the inside of the enclosure there, a hard metal paneled wall and roof with interior fabric wrap panels. And typically these are permanent structures that are located at a facility like a military base or at the White House, but they can be temporary as well, meaning moved from site to site, or even sometimes brought to a site for specific use and then destroyed. People who use these types of enclosures or SCIFs in general would be presidents of nations, cabinet members, and in the US, the NSA, the DoD, places at that level. Noise Barriers offering in this market starts at the most basic level, which is the SCIF door, but we also make enclosures and SCIFs in a box, which are enhancements that build around our acoustic SCIF door. On the right-hand side, you can see a picture in one of our shop jigs of a 3070 acoustic STC50 door, wood veneered, with a security device on it that looks like a Trilogy cipher lock with the X10 on top. The specifications are vast, but the 3 or 4 major specifications that we meet is the DCID and the JAFAN, which is the Joint Air Force, Army, and Navy specifications for security products. Noise Barriers meets or exceeds sounds group 1, 2, 3, and 4, which on the right-hand side you can see starts at an STC of 30 and goes all the way up to an STC of 50 or better. The doors we would provide on our SCIFs are typically in the STC 50 to STC 52 range. Now, Noise Barriers SCIF door at its base is a acoustic door. So it's STC 50, 52, and we make and manufacture these components at our shop in Illinois. We provide the acoustic door, the 2-piece welded split frame, and we do pre-hang and pre-swing every door prior to shipment. A lot of times in the military specifications, you'll see that pre-hung and swung is written into the spec and is a hard line, which is great for getting Noise Barriers products onto a project. We also will send our typical clamshell frame that wraps the wall. In terms of hardware, we can do just about anything. The most standard is the CDX10. We also can provide the Lockmasters products, which are the LKM 10K, the push-pull model, or the panic exit device. I know there's a model by Sargent and Greenleaf that we can use as well. As long as we have the templates, we likely can make it work with our doors. In terms of features, just like our regular acoustic door, we offer various levels of fire rating based on the door being prime painted, wood veneered, or single or double leaf. We can also provide different levels of bullet resistance and bullet rating. We can provide different RF shielding and other options. Typically, you don't see lights in SCIF doors. So in this case, you would likely be seeing all these doors as flush with no narrow or vision light. So the locking devices are going to provide the high level of security required. The specifications is the FFL 2890, and it's UL approved. As you can see there's the list of the most typical security locks: Trilogy, Lockmasters, the Simplex, I think that's the one I forgot earlier, and the Sargent and Greenleaf. And typically these all include the X10, which is the standard throughout. Almost all SCIFs have an X10. It's the standard combination lock. So at the top you can see a lock set that has no CDX10, and then in the middle it has the combination CDX10 on top. And then on the bottom, you can see the Lockmasters push-pull, the handle on one side with the exit device on the other. Here's a couple pictures of some noise barrier SCIF doors. These are hard to get pictures of, as you could imagine, given the high level of security of the places where we put these. So a lot of times photography isn't allowed. So the photos that we have today, a lot of them are at the shop prior to it shipping because the installation process wasn't able to be documented. So any pictures that we do have on site are few and far between, so you'll have to excuse the shadows. On the left-hand side, you can see a door that has a 5-button or 6-button combination lock on the bottom, followed by the CDX10 on top. And on the right-hand side, the door with a CDX10. So assuming you understand the SCIF door, we can include that door in what a larger system like a full enclosure. So those enclosures are custom in nature. We build them based on the space provided, the amount of people needed to be in the room at one time, whether it's a boardroom and they need to seat 12, or if it's just an individual or two that need to have a conversation, the rooms are much smaller. What's nice about the noise barriers rooms is that they can be disassembled, relocated, and recertified at the new site. So if you have to move or change locations or even take them with you while you travel, you could potentially be disassembling and transporting these SCIFs as needed. Or if they're in a set location, you always know that if the building is sold or if you move to a different office, you could take it with you. We do offer the electromagnetic shielding attenuation as well. That's really specification driven and a very custom and specific option. So we'd have to see what level is required before we could quote it. And in case these were ever exterior, which we have done before, noise barriers would provide all the weather resistant cladding. So in the top middle photo there, you can see, like any noise barriers enclosure, our modular panel system, the door, all of the joiners at the top and the bottom, the floor channel and roof apron, as well as all the roof panels, ductwork, silencers, and ventilation to hook up with the on-site HVAC. And then on the far right side, you can see a typical floor plan. This one happened to be a 12 by 15 or so enclosure. You can see just a single leaf door at the bottom right-hand corner of that enclosure, and then a full hard enclosure around the walls, and then 1-inch fabric panels fastened on top of our hard panels. The hard panels are the standard for noise barriers when we provide these enclosures. The first benefit is the acoustics and getting up to an STC 50, but secondly, because of the resistance to intrusion is a large reason why we don't do the perforated panel. Just another hard layer of steel to have to drill through or to tamper with in order to get through. This is very much unlike the sheetrock solutions in using potential double layer drywall or single stud or double stud walls with drywall. They are just not tamper resistant or intrusion resistant. Depending on whether the enclosure is interior or exterior, we can galvanize or galvanneal the enclosure. We provide carpeting if required, drop ceilings, RF shielding, and if there's any sort of signal filters, communication lines, or fiber optic penetrations, we can coordinate all of that prior to shipment with the panel so that everything on site hooks up and allows proper clearance from outside of the SCIF through the inside if it's required by the end user. You can see in the center left, that detail there just shows the drop ceiling that noise barriers would provide, as well as the acoustic wall and those 1-inch to 2-inch fabric wrapped absorptive panels. The pictures up in the top corner show you that enclosure from the previous slide with the door into the 12 by 13 foot room and all those fabric panels around the perimeter. This is a larger SCIF enclosure that I wanted to show you guys today, just to sort of show you the scale. I think a lot of times it's assumed that a SCIF is, say, a 8x8 box or a 10x10 box with a single leaf door. This is a SCIF that we did quite a number of years back, a 33 by 30 foot enclosure. And this enclosure has actually 4 chambers. The center chamber, chamber C, they didn't do any testing in it. And there was no patients or conversations or anything happening in that center space. It was more of like a foyer or lobby into chambers A, B, and D. So the double leaf doors down at the bottom, I'll bring my mouse over so maybe you can see. These double doors do have lights in them, which is very uncommon in SCIFs. But in this case, they didn't actually perform any sensitive conversations in the space. And then they would have the conversations inside of chambers A, B, and then a large meeting room inside of D. Now this customer was a military affiliate. I had to blank out their name, but they did provide a field test of the electromagnetic frequencies and waves going through the noise barrier SCIF that we provided. And you can see the dB required in this column here in the middle, and what our actual tested frequencies were on this right-hand column here. And you can see we met or exceeded all of the requirements. I took some snippets from this report, but you can see here the conclusion. The research facility meets all specified performance requirements and should fully meet the needs for research for many years to come. This is just a great testimonial for the noise barriers enclosure, as well as the field performance once actually on site. It's always one thing to test it in a laboratory and to get test results and say something's STC, RF, EMSA certified, but to actually have it work in the field and have results to back it up is really nice. And now SCIF in a box. This is one of our maybe most unique products we offer. We don't see a ton of them in terms of volume, but they are truly unique. The military actually sort of uses this term when purchasing with noise barriers as well, and they call it a SCIF in the box as well. But the idea is that we could build a SCIF inside of a typical 40-foot shipping container. So the shipping container could be purchased by noise barriers or sometimes the contractor or end user. It could be powder coated prior to, so that's finished ready to be brought on site. Noise barriers would weld in 1/4-inch steel plate across the floor to give a nice flat finished floor. And then we would use our typical wall and roof panels in the modular style, mount right onto the inside of the shipping container. Now, noise barriers would also provide the heating and AC unit, any ductwork, silencers, the returns would all be by noise barriers in our shop prior to shipment. So when this unit is arrived on site, it's 100% turnkey, ready for the end user to use. Now, this isn't the drawing schematics for the exact unit on the previous slide, but you can get a sense of the layout inside of the enclosure. You have towards the back end of the shipping container, which is the upper left-hand corner of my screen, you have about a 6-foot recess before you get to the single leaf door. And right here is where you have all the heating and air conditioning units put up in the front and all of the controls. And then we run the supply duct right down the left-hand side of the shipping container with some light fixtures staggered down the center lane. We also provide some single port communication boxes. We also can put in electrical outlets and things like that wherever the customer needs any sort of shelving. We can provide that as well. And you can see here down the right-hand side, there's different power cables being run, surface mounted on the enclosure. That noise barriers again can coordinate. We powder coat, you'll see in a later picture, we can powder coat all of the conduit for the specifications. And again, the idea here is that it's turnkey, no installation on site. You pull up, you drop the shipping container, the owner and the on-site staff can use it, and then it can be transported to a different part of the military base or a different base entirely if needed. Here's a couple more pictures of now that very same enclosure. You can see the back end. I guess this is really like the front end now, or the back of the SCIF. Here's the front of the SCIF by the back end of the container. Here's that heating and air and the electrical hookups, and all the power is located out here with the light switch. And then you have your security hardware with your CDX10 on the SCIF door. Air conditioning unit mounted right inside of the SCIF, the lighting, and all the coordinated electrical outlets per the specifications. Now you can see some other options we've done. This top image right here on the right, this is almost a replica of the shipping container, but minus the shipping container. It's a modular paneled SCIF in the same sort of size and configuration of a shipping container. So it's 40 foot long by 11 foot high by 7.5 foot wide, or whatever it is. And then the door is located right inside this inset. And then here's a third option, again a little different. This has some wall mounted power, electrical, and AC components, but again, typical shipping container, all powder coated one color, ready to be loaded and sent on site. Here's a better look inside of those enclosures. Again, getting pictures on site for a lot of these is fairly difficult. So a lot of the photos here are in the parking lot of our old facility or inside our old facility. So again, you can see inside here, inside the double leaf shipping container doors, then right on through into the SCIF itself. It's a very clean look. The customers love it because, again, it's turnkey. Not to beat a dead horse, but that really is the main selling point, and just the movability of the enclosure, being able to take it with you or use it for a few days or a few weeks and transport it to a sister branch or a sister company as they need fit. Well, I want to thank you all for your time today. If there's any questions about any of the acoustic products that NoiseBears offers, or especially the security products, the email listed right there is probably the best way to reach me at jthomas@noisebears.com. The phone listed there is our main line, so you'll be sent to Sherry, and she can always send you to the sales rep in your territory. If you want a copy of the PowerPoint, I think that'll be made available on our website or email to all the attendees today. You can also message me if you have any questions or want to see further pictures or need any details written up. I'd be happy to provide as much information as I can to you. But I want to thank you for your time this afternoon, and I hope you all have a great Thursday. Thank you so much.